So we have a developing story out of California that's about to send shockwaves through the entire driver market. If you thought the crackdown on non-domiciled CDLs was just a talking point or something that would only affect a handful of guys running out of Alabama and Mississippi, you are wrong. We are watching a full-blown legal war erupt between the trucking industry, the state of California, and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. The Chinese American Truckers Association, the CATA, has officially filed a lawsuit against the FMCSA. They are suing the federal government over what they are calling an indefinite freeze on commercial licenses that is destroying the livelihood of thousands of drivers. This isn't just about immigration. This is about due process. It's about capacity leaving the market, and it's about a chaotic regulatory environment that is catching legitimate legal drivers in the crossfire. I'm going to talk about the interim final rule that started this mess back in 2025. And I'm going to discuss the nuclear option the feds just used against California involving $158 million in highway funding. Before I get into the heavy details, I want to be clear about where this intel is coming from. The team over at CDL Life broke this story with the specific details of the court filing. If you want to read the raw news for yourself, I have put the direct link to this article in the description box below. Click that link. Make sure you read the report because it's critical that you know the source. Now, let's get into the deep dive. Here is the situation on the ground. On Wednesday, January 7th, 2026, the Chinese American Truckers Association filed the lawsuit in the California federal court. Their target was the FMCSA. Their grievance that the federal government's aggressive enforcement of new non-domiciled CDL rules has forced the California DMV into a corner. According to the lawsuit, the California DMV has effectively frozen the processing of any and all non-domiciled CDL applications and renewals. So let's pause there. What does that actually mean? It means that if you are a driver in California with a non-domiciled CDL, even if you are here legally, even if you have the proper paperwork authorization, even if you have a valid visa, you are stuck in limbo. The CATA argues that this freeze is an open-end suspension. There is no date certain for when it ends. There is no mechanism for any individual driver to go in, show their papers, and get their license cleared. They are arguing that this is a violation of due process. You cannot simply strip a person's ability to work without giving them a chance to prove they are compliant. But to understand why this is happening today, in January 2026, we have to look back at the chaos of late 2025. Remember the interim final rule? Back in September and October of last year, the FMCSA, under immense pressure to secure the licensing system, issued a new rule. They said enough is enough. They realized that thousands of commercial licenses were being issued to individuals who didn't actually meet the residency requirements. We're talking about the CDL mills that will bust people in, get them a license in a week, and put them on the road. So the FMCSA tightened the screws. They ruled that to hold a non-domiciled CDL, you must have specific visa statuses like the H-2A, the H-2B, or the E-2 visas. They also required state driver licensing agencies, the DMVs, to run every single applicant through the SAVE database. That stands for Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements. Basically, the feds told the states, you need to double check every single foreigner with the CDL against the Department of Homeland Security's database. And if they don't match up, revoke the license, downgrade it, get them off the road. That sounds straightforward on paper, right? If you are legal, you drive. If you aren't, you don't. But here's where the bureaucracy broke down. When the FMCSA started enforcing this in 2026, they didn't just act nicely. They bought out the big guns. A few weeks ago, we learned that the FMCSA sent a letter to California, a final determination notice. They told California, you are failing to comply with these new vetting standards. You are letting too many ineligible drivers slip through the cracks. And then came the threat. The FMCSA told California that if they don't fix the problem immediately, they will withhold $158.3 million in federal highway funding. That is the nuclear option. You do not threaten the state's infrastructure money unless you are ready for war. So what did the California DMV do? They panicked. Faced with the loss of $158 million, the lawsuit alleges that the California DMV effectively hit the stop button on everything. They stopped processing applications, they stopped renewals, they froze the system to try and figure out who was legal and who wasn't. And that is what triggered this lawsuit from the Chinese American Truckers Association. The CATA is arguing that in their panic to satisfy the feds, California is punishing the innocent along with the guilty. They claim that drivers who do have lawful immigration status, who do have valid work authorization, and who should be eligible under the new rules are being locked out. Imagine you are an owner operator. You have been driving for 5 years. You came here on a valid visa. You built the business. You bought a truck. You pay your taxes. Your license is up for renewal. You walk into the DMV, paperwork in hand, ready to prove you are legal. And the clerk tells you, sorry, we aren't processing these right now. FMCSA orders. So you say to yourself, when can I renew? And they tell you, we don't know. And then you ask, well, can I drive? And they say, no, your license expires tomorrow. That is the reality for the members of the Chinese American Trucker Association right now. And that is why they are in federal court. They are asking the judge to intervene. They want an injunction. They want to force the DMV to start processing applications again so that qualified drivers could get back to work. Now, let's zoom out. Why does this matter to you if you are a non-domiciled driver? Why does this matter if you were born in Ohio and have never dealt with a visa in your life? It matters because this is a signal of the new enforcement environment that we are living in 2026. We have a new administration in Washington. We have a new DOT secretary, Sean Duffy. The mandate is clear: America first in trucking. They are looking to purge the market of illegal capacity. They are looking to shut down the loopholes that have depressed freight rates for the last 3 years. For a long time, American owner operators have complained that they can't compete with carriers who hire drivers for pennies on the dollar, drivers who maybe shouldn't have a CDL in the first place. This crackdown is the government's answer to those complaints. But as with any major government operation, there is collateral damage. The lawsuit alleges that the net is being cast too wide, that in the hunt for illegal drivers, the system is crushing the legal immigrant workforce that the supply chain actually relies on. And let's be honest about the capacity implications here. If the California DMV keeps this freeze in place, and if other states like New York, Illinois, and Texas follow suit because they are scared of losing their federal highway funding, we could see tens of thousands of drivers removed from the road in Q1 of 2026. Now, if you are a spot market carrier, you might be thinking, good, less competition means higher rates. And you might be right. If 20,000 or 30,000 truckers are parked next week because their drivers lost their licenses, supply tightens, spot rates go up. But if you are a fleet owner who relies on these drivers and you did everything right, you hired guys with valid visas, you are staring at a disaster. The Chinese American Truckers Association is pointing out a critical flaw. The system isn't ready for this level of enforcement. The database aren't talking to each other fast enough. The DMV clerks aren't trained on how to read complex visa documents. So the default answer becomes no. This lawsuit is going to be the test case. If the judge sides with the truckers, it forces the FMCSA to back off and create a smoother process. If the judge sides with the FMCSA, it validates this scorched earth approach. It tells every state in the union, purge your CDL rolls or lose your funding. And make no mistake, the FMCSA is not bluffing. They have explicitly stated that this is about restoring integrity to the licensing system. They have cited safety risks. They have cited the inability to verify foreign driving records. They are arguing that public safety trumps the economic convenience of these drivers. So what should you do right now? If you are a fleet manager or an owner of a trucking company, you need to audit your own roster today. Don't wait for the DMV to send you a letter. If you have drivers operating on non-domiciled CDLs, you need to sit down with them and check their status. Are they H-2A, H-2B, or E-2? Do their expiration dates match their I-94 forms? Is their paperwork 100% bulletproof? Because right now, the margin for error is zero. If there is a typo, if there is a mismatch, the DMV is looking for a reason to say no. For the drivers out there who are caught up in this, who are legal, who are fighting to work, this lawsuit is your Hail Mary. The CATA is fighting for the right to an individualized adjudication. That's lawyer talk for look at my case, don't lump me in with everyone else. It is a fight for fairness in a time of extreme crackdown. We also need to watch the Asian Law Caucus and the Sikh Coalition. The report mentions that they have also proposed a class action lawsuit against the California DMV. So the state of California is fighting a two-front war. On one side, the feds are threatening to take their money. On the other side, civil rights groups are suing them for discrimination and due process violations. It is a mess, a complete regulatory mess. But it is the reality of trucking in 2026. The days of the Wild West licensing are over. The crackdown is here, and it is messy, it is painful, and it is happening right now. I want you to be informed. I don't want you to take my word for the legal nuances. Please go down to the description box below. I have linked the CDL Life link article there. Read the details about the indefinite freeze. Read the statements from the Truckers Association. Understand what is at stake. This is history in the making for our industry. I will continue to monitor this lawsuit. When the judge issues a ruling, whether they grant the injunction or throw the case out, I will bring you the update immediately. Until then, keep your paperwork clean, keep your logs legal, and keep watching the news because the rules are changing fast. And also make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and turn on your post notifications. Also, check out the video below on the screen where I talk about the lease trap and why so many truckers never make real money. On this video, I'll break down the real pros and cons of company lease programs, the hidden risk drivers never see coming, and why so many truckers end up paying for a truck they don't even own. Once again, I'm Marcellus with Trucking with MBR, and don't forget, click the link below in the description box for the full article. Stay safe out there on the road, and I'll see you on the next video.